form of Calyrex Ice Rider.
So an interesting thing to note is our game match, or our stream match, is going to be between Andrew Navarro and Jonathan Martin. If you've been around the local scene, Andrew was running a Kyurem White team for a little while. Today he's actually running Calyrex Ice, which is tangentially related to snow, but I don't think he's running in a snow lineup.
I don't think he was either, but also, I mean, Andrew, as we have seen in the past, and he did say this prior to the midseason showdown beginning, that he was running Focus Blast on his Kyurem White, and that was despite all of his partners in his building group saying, "Why are you running Focus Blast? Just run Freeze Dry."
I'm partial towards Freeze Dry myself, but I could see the situations where Focus Blast would actually be really nice to have.
It does make sense because he did say that he was running Focus Blast to work around Terapagos with its Terra Shift ability, because Terra Shift making sure that it does not take super effective damage for the first hit as long as its health is full. Turbo Blaze says nope. Nope. You're gonna take this nice fully super effective hit right now. And if again you're banking on a 70% accurate move, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, looks like on one side, looking at the screens, we actually looks like we have a Kyogre versus Calyrex Ice matchup coming up, because Jonathan's running what looks like Kyogre, Archaludon, Chanpao, yes, Urshifu. I don't actually know the Urshifu form yet, and Tornadus. Whereas Andrew on his side's got the Calyrex Ice, the Amoonguss, Incineroar, the Raging Bolt, and then more importantly, Golden Go.
That's actually really impressive to see Golden Go right now. Now, Andrew did say this in the lead up to the midseason showdown that right now Golden Go stock should be rising now with the fact that Zamazenta has been on a massive uptick in usage for good reason, mind you, because Zamazenta, I mean, at least
Mikhail Kelch won Stockholm with Zamazenta.
Not to mention, I'm a shield player over a sword player.
The other thing too is with the fall of Calyrex Shadow in the meta right now, Golden Go has actually been in a really good spot because you're having to worry about Astral Barrage a little bit less.
But we're getting
into the battle, and we see Kyogre and Urshifu Rapid Strike on the lead, and we see Amoonguss and Calyrex Ice on Andrew's side.
We do see that Jonathan will be getting his weather up to start this battle, which will be impressive for him because I believe this Urshifu is the Choice Scarf variant, so if it's going for someone like a Surging Strikes, that's going to do massive damage even in the rain. But there is the threat of that Amoonguss on the field, and we all know Amoonguss loves to,
this is a very interesting turn one because the Calyrex Ice is also Terra Water, which means it could just be a bunch of resisted hits being thrown out, something being put to sleep.
Definitely right there, because see that Calyrex, I mean, you did say it is Terra Water. Very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But even with the Terastallization coming out on the side of Calyrex Ice, in the rain, Kyogre will still do massive damage with Water Spout or Origin Pulse. I think if it's Origin Pulse.
I mean, we saw last game what Kyogre was doing in the sun.
Yeah, and that's both with and without Helping Hand. It did 100 HP just to a Urshifu single strike, but we do see a Terastallization come out on the side of Jonathan.
Oh, it's Terra Grass.
Terra Grass, but that's massive for Jonathan because now this Amoonguss cannot put Urshifu to sleep.
The thing that you'd be worried about in this scenario, though, is if Andrew clicks Glacial Lance, then it could potentially be in a dicey situation with that Urshifu as well. Calyrex is a Pokemon that is known to snowball if you just let it get one KO.
This is very true, especially the Ice Rider, which seems to be everybody's favorite choice right now, especially that clear Amulet. But we see a close combat come out on the side, and a critical hit. That critical hit might be massive for Jonathan.
That puts you in range of the Water Spout.
As you see the Water Spout.
That is a
Water Spout comes out. Look at how much he has to do to the Amoonguss.
Oh, no.
Oh my god, a double critical hit on turn one for Jonathan Martin. Knocks out his Calyrex and the Terastallization, and a Spore coming out on Andrew's side. And it doesn't affect the Urshifu. Oh my god, that is so massive for Jonathan on turn one, Matt.
Oh
my god.
You're in Jonathan's position right now. You're over the moon.
Yeah, you're like really far into this battle, but just because your foot is on the gas does not mean you take it off.
Do not let up.
You do not let up here because Andrew technically has
he can still play it back, actually.
He can still play this back immensely.
Amoonguss with their generator, Raging Bolt, actually pretty able to click Thunderclap into the Kyogre now because you know that it can't Terra because the Urshifu Terra'd. There's a few options there for you that are still available.
But the Urshifu also is -1 on its special defense, so that could be something that Andrew looks for here, as we do see a switch out on Jonathan's side, taking out that Kyogre, trying to call that Thunderclap here, and in comes Amoonguss on Jonathan's side. We see Amoonguss going for a protect of Jonathan on Andrew's side. I see a close combat coming out into the Raging Bolt here. Good damage
over
into
half
that
as well.
Good damage in a Raging Bolt here. However, this is going to be a Draco Meteor coming out into the Urshifu. And
Urshifu, one shot.
Urshifu is going to go down. Those special defense drops do affect Urshifu massively there. But Jonathan has... I mean, again, Jonathan just switched out that Kyogre to avoid a potential Thunderclap here. That is massive for him.
The worrying thing right now, though, is in Andrew's position, Raging Bolt is -2 on its special attack. The Amoonguss needs to switch out if it wants to get some HP back from Regenerator. I don't want to be opinionated as commentators, but that turn 1 was absolutely cataclysmic for Andrew, getting critical hit on both your Pokemon to where it pretty much a full field wipe turn 1. It puts you in a very precarious situation right now.
I think you're definitely right there, Matt. But when we're looking at it, we see Amoonguss going for a protect here, potentially trying to get an Ice Beam call
I'm assuming there's the Rage Powder. I was figuring that it was going to be Thunderclap into the Kyogre at this point with how far ahead that...
Yeah, Water Spout coming out into Raging Bolt here.
Power.
And the Assault Vest, but Raging Bolt survives. So now this is a -2 Electro Web, and it avoids the Amoonguss. Okay, that
one's not as bad. You
hit
what you wanted to hit.
That one's not as terrible as missing.
As bad as it sounds, though, in Andrew's scenario, like that's a 5% miss on the Electro Web. Already been hit crit twice. Is hitting both with Electro Web just too much to ask for?
It probably was, but Andrew notices that the battle was basically unwinnable after that. I mean,
that is rough.
It is unfortunate for that first turn to go the way that it did for Andrew, but that's the power of Kyogre in the rain. Like, that was
resisted into the Calyrex.
And the Amoonguss, and it got a critical hit on Amoonguss too. Like,
that being said, that's only one game of the set. If you're in Andrew's position at this point, that game is frustrating. Yes. It now is a clean slate. Just take that moment to mentally reset, and you can lock back in and still clutch the sets out. One of those things that's rough to happen to you, especially like when you're on such a strong run of 2-0 to start. It's very possible. Every game is pretty much its own. Every game in a set is its own separate scenario where nothing from the first game is going to affect the second game besides the knowledge that you pick up from it.
I think you're definitely right there. I mean, if you just pick up that knowledge, like we see Jonathan does have a notebook out on his side of the field, and I believe Andrew does the same as well. Taking notes, ladies and gentlemen, that is actually a really good thing to do in your battles. I did see a little bit of debate on Twitter, on VGC, about that. Like, should you take notes in battle or shouldn't you take notes about? I am
partial towards taking notes in battle because not exactly what you think it would be, though. Some people do it for PP counting. Some people do it to just see like what people brought in terms of noticing specific habits. What I like to do as a note taker, it's a skill that's kind of flexible based on the person. What I like to do with it, I know that there's a lot of Pokemon that train in speed up to specific points, so that they can outspeed specific target Pokemon. So something I like to do when I'm taking my notes is noticing which Pokemon that I've trained speed in that are just like, hey, this one outspeeds, say for example, my Fluttermane outspeeds their Chen-Pao. Like, I can know that opted more into training a Chen-Pao that's more physically offensive oriented rather than fast.
Exactly, because they both have a base 135 speed, so they both hit the same stat if they were both, say, like a timid Fluttermane versus a jolly Chen-Pao. But we do see a switch up on the side of Andrew Navarro. He's bringing that single strike Urshifu and this Incineroar, but Jonathan is just keeping the same lead out here.
I mean, if you're in Jonathan's position, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
You're exactly right here, because this Urshifu is the Choice Scarf variant, but we do see that Andrew is just opting to try to get rid of that Kyogre right off rip here. And I'm actually curious about what he's going to do, because we just saw on his Incineroar, it does not have Will-O-Wisp and it does not have Flare Blitz.
I could see this. Flare Blitz is a move on Incineroar that's been losing a bit of value because Kyogre being a prevalent Pokemon on the format. You also want to run Will-O-Wisp because a lot of Pokemon are running Clear Amulet. You want to either be able to knock off the Clear Amulet or be able to burn a physical attacker through Clear Amulet.
Such as like a Calyrex Ice Rider, if it's not Terra Fire, because...
Not only that, it's also another way that you can physically slow down an Urshifu, which at times, as you can see here, sometimes Urshifu just feels like a second restricted legendary.
See Archaladon coming in. So Jonathan opts to bring Archaladon in, and he terastallizes on... I think this is Andrew's side that's terastallizing. It is the Urshifu
into a Dark type.
A Dark type Terra on that Urshifu. That is going to be very interesting.
That's going to be one very wicked blow.
Very much so, and it's a guaranteed critical hit with that Terra Dark, as Incineroar opting for the fake out into that Archaladon
That'll
slot
ignore
here.
the stamina.
Activate the stamina, but this critical hit will avoid it. But a Surging Strike's coming out onto Incineroar. I think Incineroar might be going down here.
It'll take 3, though, for its troubles.
It will take 3, which is actually very impressive, because you don't really expect Incineroar to take 3 hits in the rain from Surging Strikes, but that just shows the power of Andrew working around the rain in this matchup.
All right, so we see the Terra Dark Wicked Blow is more than likely coming out. We'd seen him click into the Kyogre slot with us. We'll actually ignore the stamina boost that Archaladon got earlier from taking the fake out.
But even then, Archaladon survived a Terra Dark Wicked Blow. Pretty cleanly, I might add.
At this now, we see what looks to be Raging Bolt coming in as well. Urshifu's in a position now where you either have to switch it out or risk taking the Thunderclap, or it could potentially Terra Grass here in this scenario. But if it Terra Grasses, you're actually in a position where it's not doing as much damage as you would like, unless you're clicking it into the opposing Urshifu. That said,
and we know that Jonathan's Archaladon is the Assault Vest variant, so it has 4 attacks. So essentially a Sucker Punch here. I don't know, Terra Dark Sucker Punch at +2. Archaladon might survive that, Matt.
I think it might actually just barely pick up the KO, because when you Terrasilize into a type of your own, it changes the bonus damage you get from 50% to double damage. Means it would pretty much offset the stamina boost there for you.
But we do see...
Instead, the Amoonguss comes in, and
Jonathan
looks like Jonathan's probably Terrastalizing the Urshifu into grass to cover for the Thunderclap coming in.
And Urshifu is now Terra Grass, but now what did Andrew go for here on this Raging Bolt? I wonder, did he go for the Thunderclap like you're predicting? We see a Surging Strikes into the Amoonguss slot. That's going to take Rocky Helmet damage.
Oh, that means that the Urshifu is going to lose half of its health just for wrong target.
Just for its troubles, Jonathan's Urshifu is not going to take massive damage, but also by virtue of Jonathan terastallizing the Urshifu, it's now neutral to Sucker Punch.
Means,
we see a Draco Meteor coming out into the Raging Bolt slot.
And it tanks it.
Raging Bolt survives thanks to that Assault Vest, as Draco Meteor coming out on the side of Andrew's Urshifu, Raging Bolt, my apologies. But the Urshifu does go down here, but that is really massive for Jonathan to lose his Urshifu. And Andrew also going down to -2 on his special attack with that Archaladon on the field.
That said, I don't think it's necessarily... I think it's a trade that Jonathan's willing to make here, because it means that you can bring in the Kyogre now on field. Fastest thing on the field. And the onus is now on Andrew to basically try to survive the incoming Water Spout. Because, let's face it, the Kyogre being the fastest thing on the field, only thing you might be able to take is Thunderclap damage, but it's a -2 Raging Bolt, which means you'll be able to tank it a little bit better.
And we see the Thunderclap. That's good damage, even through the -2 with the super effective. Here comes the Water Spout.
The Amoonguss will end up tanking this, and the opposing Archaladon is actually at -2 as well, so there's a chance that the Amoonguss actually tanks this and is able to put something to sleep.
And it goes for Draco Meteor here. It does hit the Draco Meteor. Will it knock out Amoonguss? It does. So our Chaladon knocks out the Amoonguss here. So now Andrew is down to just that Terra Dark Urshifu, but it still has its Focus Sash activated, ladies and gentlemen. So
you stand up to one specific big strong hit, or in the case of if you leave the Arcaldon on the field, it lives critical hit Draco Meteor. Could that end up happening again?
See a Sucker Punch coming out on the side of Andrew Navarro. It is going into that Kyogre. Kyogre survived! And the Water Spout comes out, and it does just a little bit of damage on Urshifu, but that is massive on the Urshifu because it's able to survive another hit. But the Focus Sash, that is broken now, Matt.
But from the looks of it, it looks like the Arcaldon actually had, I think, like a body press into the Urshifu.
Possible, and we do see that Jonathan Martin has advanced to 3-0 with a 2-0 victory over his good friend Andrew Navarro. That was an incredible battle.
Oh yeah, I still feel very bad for what happened to Andrew in Game 1. Sometimes that's just what happens with the game we play.
Exactly. Like, it is unfortunate that happened in game number 1. I mean, a critical hit on the close combat, that's one thing.
But the critical hit into the Amoonguss off of the resisted water move.
That was just super unfortunate.
If the Amoonguss was in better shape in that turn, you would have been able to, with a correct Spore Call, you could have put the Kyogre to sleep. That was a very dicey turn 1, game 1, because I'm pretty sure both of the Kyogre and the Urshifu were Terra Grass, so it kind of just came down to which one do you think is going to Terra. And it creates it's in a way like a coin flip.
And it also showcased that Andrew was running a team that was more heavily designed around the speed control. I mean, he has Electro Web on his Raging Bolt. He has Trick Room on the Calyrex Ice Rider, but that is a sort of standard move on Calyrex Ice Rider right now. Trick Room, Protect, Glacial Lance, and
high horsepower. I've seen Close Combat as the 4th move on that as well.
I've seen maybe one Heavy Slam on a Calyrex Ice, but that was on the in-game ladder, which you can never trust the in-game ladder. As
we did see Aeroblast Lugia next to Dragon Cheer on in-game ladder.
I saw Terra Steel Miraidon on in-game ladder.
I've seen Covercloak Miraidon and Urshifu.
We've
seen a lot of stuff on Cart Ladder.
Yes, Cart Ladder, as we have all learned very easily, is the worst to decide about what's going to happen before a tournament, ladies and gentlemen, especially with LA Regionals coming up next weekend.
So big question for you there. What restricted legend do you think is going to actually perform well at Los Angeles?
Well, let's see. In Regulation G so far, we have seen Miraidon win the Indianapolis Regionals behind Rajan Ball. Everybody started prepping for Miraidon. Then Stockholm Regionals comes out.
Kaush wins with Zamazenta.
Wins with Zamazenta, which we did have a discussion about that, about Zamazenta versus Zacian, about which one is better. I've actually had this theory circling ever since Scarlet and Violet came out, but I've never had the time to actually delve my thoughts into it. Remember how in one of Chen Pao's Pokedex entries it says that the sword that it has in its mouth for its fangs was I think it said something about all the enemies that it
had slain.
What if that sword is the rusted sword from Sword and Shield?
That is a potential option. Are you saying that's going to be like a Zacian Chen Pao type of team that's going to make a deep run?
I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that the king of Paldea bought the rusted sword from the original Zacian. So remember how they said it was all the treasures that were bought from foreign regions?
Oh, yeah.
I think that Zacian, its rusted sword that we had from Sword and Shield, that's a little bit of an Easter egg that when they bought that sword, all of the enemies that it's slain, all the Dynamax Pokemon and Gigantamax Pokemon from Sword and Shield have since been reincarnated into the Chen Pao that we know and fear today.
That being said, since they're revengeful spirits, in the transition to Paldea, are you saying that they took some sort of revenge on Zacian, being that Intrepid Sword got changed, that it took a bit of a change to its stats, all that?
I did not consider that. I did not consider that part. I just considered about the fact that it's a sword, and we don't see anything else that would make Zamazenta be something of that nature. But
that being said, my prediction for LA Regionals, all in on Koraidon.
Speaking as somebody who has used Koraidon very much in the last month and a half, of Regulation G ever since it showed up on Showdown Ladder, I can confirm Koraidon is very good. Koraidon is very good. Because I still remember I did this one ladder tour with Koraidon, and I do have the clip on Twitch on my own side that I called a Pelipper using Wide Guard. They had Calyrex Ice out there going for that Trick Room, and I just clicked an Overheat, and I knocked out that Calyrex. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with round number 4 of the Nerdy Needs Midseason Showdown here in Brandon, Florida. So stick around, and we will be back.
All right,